Okay, we're recording this video on Sunday the 24th of August 2025, just gone 1 a.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend, time for another weekend futures market recap. We'll go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Actually think we're up to 16 markets now because we're looking at the Ethereum charts, which have been interesting over the last couple of weeks. And apologies from me that there was no video last weekend. That was because we were traveling. We're back in Europe. Arrived into Rome, drove north, spent some time in Bologna, which was fun. Went to Modena, which is close by, the home of Ferrari. So we got to see the Ferrari Museum as well as drive a 458, which was hell fun. Anyway, we drove further north into San Remo, which is the Italian Riviera. And now we've come across and we're in Avignon, or just outside of Avignon in France. So yep, we were doing some sightseeing, touristy stuff last weekend, and so no video. But we're settled for a little bit, which is good. And we've got time for a video. We'll try and keep these going throughout the autumn. So normally August is a little bit boring and quiet, but I haven't found that over the last week or so. For me, this is great because we're back in a day trading time zone. In Australia, the markets open up at midnight, or the US markets open up at midnight, and that's tough on your body. But now in Europe, the markets are opening up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is very nice indeed. We're going to do the daily charts of the E-mini compared to the Russell, the Dow, and the Nasdaq, because there's some interesting differences in patterns and strengths going on there. And then we'll go down and look at the tip bar charts of the other futures markets and see what the professionals are up to. So Powell came out with some nice comments on Friday. The market rocketed up. He's saying that there is room for some interest rate cuts, and so the market said yahoo, came back up to test almost the recent highs, which was a big move, over 100 points I think on Friday's activity, 90 points or something like that. Anyway, here's the daily chart. We are in an uptrend, and we will not be over on this uptrend until we see blue professional up bars. We've got to see the reverse of this. This is the blue professional bars on the lows back in April. Taking profits, buying these lows, and you've got to see the reverse of that on the upside. So blue professional up bars will show us that the professionals are taking profits. But even with Friday's activity, big volume on Friday and no blue professional up bars, I think it's probably going to have to be September, October time. Everybody needs to be back at their desks. August is not a time where we get changes in trend or big moves because the professionals are not all active, they're all on vacation. But cyclically, it's an interesting point because we've got a pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame here on the daily chart, and we've got a cross potentially happening on the highest time frame. And sometimes we get serious areas of end of trends and resistances when we have these two patterns syncing up together. So it's a trending move on the lowest time frame coming up to a cyclical turn on the highest time frame, and those two can line up quite nicely. You end up overshooting the intermediate time frame and then ending up with a cyclical resistance. But you know, we need the price patterns to confirm that. We've got to show a signal. This resistance has to come in. So we haven't had that. That's the E-mini chart. So look at that. We're sometime off that cross on the highest time frame, and the high that we've made has poked through these recent swing highs here on the daily chart. Now let us look at the Russell. On the Russell, here we've got the highest time frame. We're miles away from crossing on this. Yep, we're heading up, but we're a ways away. Here we've had quite a lot of strength. I mean, the Russell has underperformed over the last year or so, but in the last several months it's actually outperforming. You can see here the swing highs are getting higher and higher, and we're breaking up through here, and yet no sign of an end of trend here. We're just breaking through these resistances, pushing, and that's why the bars are red, because we're in an uptrend there on the Russell. Dow, similarly strong. Here, even stronger. We are coming close to the previous highs over the last 6 months or so. Here, again, more time to run, support to resistance on the highest time frame here with better sine wave. That's got a ways to run on that, and we're just poking up through resistances here. So the Dow and the Russell looking interesting, and timing wise they've still got some time to run. But the Nasdaq has had that pattern come in. So here's the resistance on the highest time frame, and we've actually had the price signals come in with an end of trend. That's actually a pullback to end of trend, but not blue professional up bars. It's a little bit weaker than the S&P at this point, although that high is greater than the high that we had 6 months ago. So that's interesting. And here we're still through resistances on the lowest time frame and the intermediate time frame. So we've not put in the pullback to end of trend. At some point we'll get that little bit of resistance, will come back in, play down, and then push back up to put in a pullback to end of trend. The story is that the relative strength of these markets is shifting, and people are moving out of NASDAQ and putting more money into things that have underperformed in the last year or so. So there we go. Those are the daily charts. Let us go down through the time frames. 135-minute chart, exactly 3 135-minute bars in a day session of the E-mini. And the last pattern that we had where the professionals stepped in on that retracement. And yeah, on Friday we rocketed up. We had a little support come in, pullback in an uptrend support. The bars are red. We're in an uptrend. Yes, it was pullback to end of trend on a left shoulder here, pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, showing a potential head here, but it didn't end up with any breaks of support, which would show us that there was some profit taking and the change of trend. But we need to be cognizant that this is an important level. Probably need to see blue professional up bars on this time frame. In terms of momentum patterns, you can see here nothing going on, no exhaustion patterns, no bearish divergence or anything like that. Yes, we had some sell-off this week with the weakness in better momentum, but now it's starting to roll and come back up. So hopefully we'll see some continuation on Monday of this move. 45-minute chart, there's the blue professional bars at those lows, 23.40. And then we came into a squeeze pattern at the highs with a whole confluence of resistances coming in on the highest, all the different time frames coming together there. We fell out of bed, and this week's activity, we had an exhaustion pattern, bullish divergence pattern, another squeeze pattern where the support and resistance lines and price come close together, and we shoot out of that. So a trending move and a trending move coming out of those two squeezes, and no blue professional bars. So this trailing stop on Better Pro-Am is miles away. The professionals got in here and then used that news to just get everybody freaked out and badly positioned. We'll see that on the 13,500 tip bar chart. And the 15-minute chart, here we go. We put in the beginnings and the ends of the week with solid vertical yellow lines. And this is this week's activity. We weakened from there, broke into a downtrend. We've got a signal there, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, and flush pattern. This one didn't feel to me like it was ending the move. It felt like it was getting the move going at that point. But then there's where the blue professional bars came in. The blue boxes, when we have blue professional bars at new highs or new lows in the trend move that is being signaled by Better Pro-Am. And they came in here, they tested here with a flush pattern, and then we got the news or the comments from Powell, and we rocketed up. But on the flip side here, we have blue professional bars at the highs, which is interesting. The stop is still miles away, but let's see if this continues, and we'll see more blue professional bars taking profits at those new highs. That's important. Probably need to see an exhaustion buy pattern as well to mimic that. We had one on the way up. We had one on the way down here, so we'd expect one on the way up. But it's going to get explosive in order to generate that. That'll be exciting. And then lastly, 13,500 tip bar chart, and this is where we talk about, it wasn't really professionals down here, it was amateurs being wrong-footed. So last week we had professionals taking profits into that high, and then at the beginning of the week they got short here. We fell out of bed with these squeeze patterns into a trending move, and on the downside it was all being led by the amateurs, all RAMBO patterns down here. So RAMBO stands for a potential reversal of an amateur breakout or breakdown, and so it was an amateur low average trade size down here. And we tested into that. That's a nice pattern where we get a break. Professional bars, blue professional bars come in here. We break above it there. We test into those lows and we bounce off that. It's a bouncing ball pattern. Comes with RAMBO down here, which was nice. And then as soon as the news came in or the comments came in, bang, we rocketed away. And it's a bit toppy there with RAMBO patterns and blue professional bars, but no exhaustion pattern yet. So we're going to go see some highs this week, early this week, and let's see what that ends up doing. What I'm looking for a reversal trade would be an exhaustion buy pattern, blue professional bars, similar to this, a pattern like that, but coming with exhaustion, blue professional bars at those highs. for another swing trade. But anyway, at the moment we're in an uptrend on the 13,500 tip bar chart. So there we go. That was the indices at the moment, what's going on. And of course those Powell comments just rippled through to everything, because he's saying he's getting more comfortable with rate cuts, which means that the US dollar on a relative basis with interest rates becomes less attractive. And so we had moves up in all of the Forex contracts. So here's the euro chart down here at the lows, a whole bunch of blue professional bars. So when the bars are blue, that's professional activity, and when the background is blue as well as the bars being blue, that is big professional activity. So we had them active at the highs here at 17, bang, and then they were active at the lows down here. Beautiful pattern on the euro. We came in with exhaustion down here. We had blue professional bars, blue boxes, blue background, whole bunch of professional activity at 116. So they wanted this thing, and then they bought it through the trailing stop on better priam. So they're all even interested here, just buying that breakout and getting on board. So a little bit of activity at the highs at 16.6, yeah, close to those previous highs, but no exhaustion pattern there. But that was beautiful for showing all of the professional activity in the euro, because they're not so keen on the US dollar at the moment. British pound also rallied, not such a pretty picture. Down here, there's the blue professional bars buying it, and they were last in down here at 32. So for them it's still an uptrend. There are no blue professional bars taking profits at the highs up here, which means that this is still in an uptrend. Yes, we had some weakness from there, but no blue professional bars at the highs means that we're still in an uptrend on British pound. Aussie dollar, we had this thing midweek, which didn't catch. Blue professional bars, a whole bunch of them there. We sunk down, and then they came in again. Background's in blue here, and then same thing. The US dollar weakened, the Aussie strengthened from there. So that was interesting. Japanese yen, same thing. Here it rallied off RAMBO patterns down at the bottom. We'd had blue professional bars taking profits up here, and so they just got wrong-footed. We're coming back up to that zone. So let's see if we get blue professional bars on the Japanese yen, selling it down at that previous high. 10 years now, because Powell's comments, you'd expect bonds to rally, and that's what they did. And before the comments, there the blue professional bars coming in where they know something or sense something. And we've had exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, a little bit anxious to buy it here. We come back down, they buy it here, and then we rocket into an uptrend. Not a lot of blue professional bars, not a lot of background in blue going on there. So maybe we'll just get out of this zone. I mean, the last time they were in was down here, and then we've just spent this time weakening, and this is the last 3 weeks where it's unclear what the Fed is going to do, and now we have a little bit more clarity. We can get a trend going in the 10 years. Gold. Now, I don't know what to tell you about gold here, because it is not at a previous high. We had this strange high being made at 3,500. They took profits here, and then they spiked it up and took some more profits up here. Didn't come with exhaustion buy patterns up there. We've come down into the lows, and where these professionals have stepped in is mid-sequence. Yeah, it's at a channel, top of a channel, so potentially that's a gathering pattern, trying to get the market going, force it out of the channel. But that's a lot of blue professional bars happening there. So let's wait and see. We could have some weakness first, and then they push it back past the highs of there, but that's odd. That's in the wrong place, if you understand what I'm saying. But let's see if the rally continues there. But they are active there. They stopped this move, and it's not like it's going to be a reversal at that point. Exhaustion sell. I don't know what's going on there, frankly. Anyway, silver continued to rally. Same thing. Amateur down bars into that news with Powell, and it rallied on. And this is, more like the type of place where we'd see blue professional bars taking profits at new highs. A little bit of activity up here, but not on the highs. So we haven't got blue boxes like here. But exhaustion buy, bearish divergence. So silver not signaled anything yet there. There's Bitcoin. Bitcoin liked it. Exhaustion sell, blue professional bars at the lows, blue boxes, and we took off. We had a little bit of weakness there, but look for that to catch and to break back up through 17.5, 18 to continue on Bitcoin. Ethereum. Now, Ethereum I think is looking toppy because we had this breakout move. I mean, it's doubled and a bit on Bitcoin, and on Ethereum. We had this move, whole bunch of blue professional bars getting going at 3008, and we topped out with RAMBO patterns, come back in, but this is more like professional profit taking up here under 4009. And got a good explanation this week of why Ethereum's been doing so well, and it's CBD story. So that Ethereum and Solana, but particularly Ethereum, is going to be the engine that powers the CBDCs, or I should say the stable coins, because really people are shying away from central bank digital currencies, but they're saying the stable coins are going to be a big thing going forward, and they'll be powered by Ethereum. Most likely, and so that's why there's been this interest over the last several months in Ethereum. I suppose I should be closer to that story, but I didn't put that together as the reason why Ethereum was doing so well at the moment, but it does make sense. But anyway, that looks like a little bit of profit taking to me, so let's see what happens on Ethereum this week. Crude, now my friend Crude, finally taken out on my stop while we were traveling. That was no big deal because the long Aussie trade made up for that and a little bit, so back into long Crude. I was trading this pattern, I was way too early, said that in the previous video here. But now with this week's activity, so we had the weakness last week, blue professional bars coming at lows and an exhaustion sell pattern, and blue professional bars getting the move going. And then coming out of this little congestion zone, we had big pro bars stepped in there at 63, put out a tweet this week about that. Now that's more like what I would expect to see. We have a bit of a wedging pattern going on here, and the big pro bars get interested and force this market out, and we continue the rally. On gold, we saw this, yeah, it's getting out of that congestion zone, but we should have got going, started to advance from there rather than just stand still. So that's why I'm not keen on the gold chart. But this on the crude chart, they stepped in here. Any little weakness here, the blue professional bars seem to be coming in. So they're in here and they're in here. And we're looking at this wedging pattern. Hopefully continue the rally. It's slow going at the moment, but at some point people will join in and this thing will get going. So crude's looking interesting. Natural gas, not so much. Yep, we got some blue professional bars come in here. Now we've got the exhaustion patterns come in. So let's see if we get blue professional bars or big pro bars coming again on natural gas. Copper, I told you copper 3 or 4 weeks ago was untradeable. It's all been based on tariffs. Tariffs here, and we have done nothing for 3 weeks. So stay away from copper. And the ags, so corn, this is starting to rally. Last week we had exhaustion sells, bullish divergence, big pro bars come in here, the professionals step in and we start to rally. That's good on corn. Soybeans, the rally continues, so they stepped in down here, big pro bars here. This could be an analogy for the gold chart. Whole bunch of activity here. We have some weakness from there and then we get going. So let's see if the gold chart follows that pattern. But this one set up soybeans now starting to take profits into those highs, but that was a nice break above 1,000. We talked about that as being critical level on soybeans. And wheat, yeah, couldn't hold down here. We kept on going down. Exhaustion patterns at this point. This week we get going with a whole bunch of blue professional bars. It's weak at the moment, but let's look for a break above 534 for a continuation of that rally on wheat. So there we go, a longish video, apologies for that, but when I get going, I get going. Hope your trading's going well. I think it's going to be good trading next week and coming in September. Everybody will be back at their desks, and so the volumes will pick up. The volatility will pick up too, so it's all good stuff. So good luck with your trading this week.